3 bone-chilling true Airbnb horror stories that haunt you forever. The room felt cold, a chill creeping through the air. Lisa opened the door, her heart racing. This wasn't an ordinary Airbnb. Shadows danced on the walls like whispering ghosts, and the dim light flickered in a way that made her stomach turn. What had she signed up for? The listing boasted a beautiful rustic cabin in the woods, but something dark lingered beneath its inviting surface. As she stepped inside, the floorboards creaked like they were protesting her presence. An unsettling feeling settled in her chest. The place had a peculiar scent, musty, like secrets trapped in the walls. But the real kicker? Photos of strangers, eyes staring wide, hung in the hallway. They felt alive, tracking her every move. Who were these people? Why were they here? She shivered, trying to brush it off as her imagination, but the air crackled with tension. In the back of her mind, she remembered the reviews. Whispers of unexplained noises at night. An uneasy sense of being watched. The last guest had left a warning, etched in a desperate tone, "Don't go into the cellar." Yet, as she wandered through the rooms, curiosity gnawed at her. What could be lurking beneath? Minutes turned into hours, shadows thickening and stretching as darkness fell. She heard a faint hum, a melody, beautiful yet eerie, echoing from the depths of the house. It beckoned her, teasing her nerves. As she followed the sound, a sudden crunch behind her made her freeze. Was someone there? Anxiety clawed at her throat. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The melody grew louder, twisting through the air like a ghostly ribbon. She couldn't shake the feeling that whoever or whatever was in the house was doing this on purpose. In the corner of her eye, a door slowly creaked open, leading to the cellar. It was dark, pitch black beyond the threshold. Lisa felt her chest tighten. Should she go in? In that undefinable moment, a flash of light caught her eye. Something moved in the shadows, a flicker of movement barely visible. Her heart raced. Had she tripped a hidden switch? Or was this the ghost of someone long gone? The pull to step inside grew stronger. Curiosity versus fear, a battle raging inside her. What lay down those stairs? Secrets? Or something far worse? And then, just as quickly as it started, the humming stopped. Silence. Thick, heavy silence, pressing down on her like an anvil. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. The shadow she'd seen was gone. Had it even existed? What would happen next? Would she summon the courage to venture into the unknown? Or would she find herself trapped in a truth she wasn't ready to face? The mystery deepened, and the night was just getting started. With the silence enveloping her, Lisa's heartbeat grew louder, almost drowning out the eerie stillness. She stood at the edge of the dark doorway, feeling the cool draft swirl around her ankles. The air seemed thicker here, carrying a weight of unspoken secrets. Should she step in? Just as she decided to take a step back, the melody resumed, more insistent this time, pulling her in like a siren's call. It throbbed in her chest, each note beckoning her closer, promising answers to the mystery that wrapped itself around her. Her breath hitched as she leaned closer to the dark threshold. The shadows inside twisted and morphed, coaxing her to give in to her curiosity. "What do you want?" she whispered, her voice trembling in the oppressive darkness. She felt foolish but couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone. A soft rustling echoed from the cellar, breaking the stillness. It sounded like whispers mingling with the wind. Lisa, the voice was faint but distinct, sending chills down her spine. It sounded familiar, like a memory just out of reach. Is someone there? She stepped back, her instincts screaming at her to run. But there was that melody again, weaving in and out, teasing her fears, threading her courage. Without thinking, she took the first step down the creaking stairs. The air thickened around her as she descended, and the chill deepened. Each step felt like a leap into the unknown, the wooden stairs groaning under her weight. The tiny sliver of light from the cabin barely illuminated the bottom. Reaching the last step, she shone her phone's flashlight into the depths of the cellar. Piles of things lay scattered: old furniture, dusty boxes, and something else. A glimmer caught her eye. Her heart raced again as she wandered deeper into the cellar, drawn to the flickering light in the far corner. It pulsed like a heartbeat, casting ghostly shadows on the walls. As she inched closer, dread crept into her veins. "Don't touch it," a warning echoed in her mind. But that glimmer was mesmerizing, an old mirror framed in tarnished silver. Its surface rippled as if it were alive. Without thinking, she reached out, her fingertips brushing against the cool glass. Suddenly, the cellar filled with a cacophony of voices, overlapping and frantic. Words rushed by, unintelligible yet urgent, pressing in from all sides. "Help us!" Followed by hollow whispers of despair. Lisa stumbled back, the mirror reflecting not just her terrified expression but distorted faces behind her. Faces from the photos in the hallway. Stunned, she gasped. Their eyes widened in horror, mouths moving in silent screams. She jerked away and turned to flee, desperate to escape the madness surrounding. But as she reached the stairs, the door slammed shut, plunging her into suffocating darkness. As her panic surged, the singing returned, enveloping her in a chilling embrace. "Stay with us. Forever." Panic clawed at her throat as she pounded against the door, but the voices had grown louder, more insistent. They surrounded her, an echo of souls trapped, pleading for release. Then, through the chaos, a hand gripped her shoulder, firm and cold as ice. "Don't be afraid," it whispered. "Join us." Lisa turned, her heart clenching in terror. Who was it? What had she awakened? The realization struck her: someone had been watching her this whole time. With a scream lodged in her throat, she tried to resist, but the wrapper of encroaching darkness pulled her in. What awaited her on the other side of this shadowy void? Would she become another lost soul of the cellar, or would she find a way to escape? The night had only begun to unveil its secrets. Yet, what if another dark twist awaited her when the lights flickered back on? Lisa's body tensed as the hand gripped her tighter, the cold seeping through her clothes, freezing the very marrow in her bones. The voice was smoky, thick with age and sorrow, whispering words that pressed against her mind like the chill of winter. Join us. She felt a pull, something deep within that urged her to give in, to lean into the darkness that had now enveloped her. Panic surged through her veins, igniting her fight-or-flight instincts. She whipped around, her flashlight beam cutting through the void, revealing the silhouette of a figure standing just behind her. "Who are you?" The question escaped her lips, hoarse and trembling. The figure shifted, a face emerging from the shadows pale and gaunt, with sunken eyes that glimmered like dying stars. For a moment, Lisa felt as if she was staring into a mirror of despair. "I am the keeper of secrets," it rasped, its voice echoing in the suffocating silence. "I protect those trapped in shadows, and now you are one of us." "No!" she shouted, her voice breaking. Panic surged within her like a wild river. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, she twisted away from the grip, racing toward the door. But the room felt larger, the shadows more aggressive. The voices rose into a frantic crescendo, drowning her thoughts, wrapping around her like chains. "Stay with us, find peace," they whispered, each syllable laced with a desperate longing that sent a shiver down her spine. She lunged towards the door, where the doorknob should have been, but it was gone, just a smooth wall of darkness. Lisa pounded her fists against it, her breath rapid and shallow. "Let me out!" she screamed, the tremor in her voice echoing off the thick cellar walls. Suddenly, she could see a sliver of light through the crevices of the boarded-up window. In that moment, she remembered the access to the old storage area that her father used to tell her about. If she could get to the other side, maybe she could escape, but the figure moved closer, closing the distance with an unnatural grace, wisps of darkness trailing behind it. "You cannot leave," it urged, a hint of malice creeping into its tone. "Your fate is sealed. You've awakened us." Lisa's mind raced. She wheeled around, determined not to face the figure, but instead to break free. "I didn't mean to," she cried out, desperation swelling in her chest. "I came here for answers." The room seemed to shudder around her, the dim light from her phone flickering wildly. The mirrors reflected more than just glass, they mirrored her despair. She saw sorrowful faces, all of them frozen in time, pulling her in. Each face was a reminder of the lives once lived, of the stories that had come to a brutal end. "Look closer," the voice urged, and she could feel the vibrations of their sad tales vibrating at her feet. "No. I won't let you." She turned back, gathering her last remaining courage as she dashed toward the mirror, determined to claim what she had awakened. With one swift motion, she grabbed the blasted glass, her heart racing as it clinked against her palm, the figures behind her blurred, their cries swallowed by the wrath of her defiance. A heavy weight pressed against her as the light danced crazily, illuminating the room, the shadows pulsating with rage. Summoning all her strength, Lisa screamed, "Get away from me!" But as the mirror melted beneath her fingers, a new vision seized her, a horrifying scene of a cabin much like this one, a cabin where the very essence of the darkness originated. "Hurry," they beckoned, voices forming into one, "find the truth before it's too late." Suddenly, everything went still. The air was thick. Breathless, Lisa stepped back, uncertain of what she'd just seen, her own reflection shifting as if she wasn't the only one looking back. What other secrets were hidden within the maze of memories that awaited her? As the light began to dim once more, forming a cocoon around her, she heard it, the soft melody, familiar yet foreign, calling her deeper into the darkness. Could she navigate this nightmare and uncover the truth, or would she become another whisper among the damned? The answers were almost within reach. But time was running out. The very moment her reflection flickered, Lisa felt the world around her shift again, the air heavy with electric tension. Her stomach coiled tight, a panic tightening her chest. She realized the shadows were no longer just whispers of the past, they were alive, responding to her fear. They surged, wrapping around her ankles like ghostly vines, dragging her towards the mirror she had just shattered. "Stay away from me," she yelled, her voice echoing off the cold walls, a shrill note in the haunting symphony of despair. But the shadows pulsed, undulating rhythmically in response to her terror, each beat matching her racing heart. The pale figure loomed closer, its sunken eyes drawing all the light from the room. "You've disturbed the peace," it crooned, each word slithering into her mind. "Now join us, forever." The shadows twisted and churned at her feet, dragging her toward the remnants of the mirror. Glancing at the broken glass, she saw it wasn't just a reflection. It showed the cabin she had just glimpsed in her vision. The old wooden structure stood eerily against the backdrop of a dark sky, twisted trees clawing at the air like skeletal hands. Memories flashed through her mind, shards of agonizing truth trembling just out of reach. "Find the truth," echoed in her head. It wasn't just a plea, it was a command that clawed at her soul. The weight of darkness grew heavier, suffocating, as a sense of dread washed over her. She couldn't think. She had to act. Lisa yanked her leg free from the shadowy grip and sprinted toward the window. It may have been boarded up, but she noticed a jagged edge of wood splintering out, just wide enough for an escape. Her fingers dug into the soft wood, splinters biting as she pried it loose. With a desperate push, she threw her body against it, feeling it give way. The whispers became screams, anxious and furious. "Don't! You can't leave us!" They echoed through the room, reverberating from the walls. The gap widened, and she could barely see the moonlight beyond. A spark of hope ignited within her, reigniting her will to survive. "I'm not yours!" she screamed, and with one final surge of determination, she flung herself through the opening. Pain shot through her as she stumbled to the ground outside, the cold night air biting at her skin, but freedom flooded her senses. For a moment, she caught her breath, adrenaline racing as she blinked against the darkness enveloping the cabin. But as she turned back to peer at the shattered remnants of her nightmarish prison, she froze. The figure stood in the window frame, silhouetted by the moon, its hollow gaze locked onto her. "You may have escaped, but the truth will always find you," it hissed, its voice seeping into her bones. Panic surged again as she turned and ran. Each step filled her with renewed urgency, echoing with a deep primal fear. She needed to reach the car, to put as much distance between herself and the haunted cabin as possible. But the shadows from the forest pages danced closer with each stride she took, whispering secrets that were meant to be kept. "The truth lies within you, you can't outrun what you carry." As she broke through the trees, an ominous thought struck. Was she truly free? Every heartbeat pounded in her ears as she sprinted towards the lonely road, but the melody of the shadows echoed behind her, sweet yet sinister, drawing her back to the truth she so desperately sought. Would the truth grant her freedom or bind her forever to the horrors that haunted the cabin? She knew she had danced with darkness, but now the shadows were beckoning her once more. What awaited her out there in the overwhelming silence? Unanswered questions loomed over her as she glanced back at the shadowy recesses of the forest, where the voices lingered, almost singing, ready to reveal their hidden memories. But would she dare to listen? The forest loomed around Lisa, dark and foreboding. Each step she took was echoed by the whispering shadows, each one twisted and clawing at her thoughts. "You can't escape," they murmured, their voices like a cold wind wrapping around her, chilling her to the core. "The truth is in you." Her heart raced as she burst into the clearing, the road glimmering in the distance like a beacon of hope. But before she could run towards it, her feet stumbled on unseen roots, sending her sprawling to the ground. The impact knocked the breath from her lungs, and for a moment, the world around her faded, but the shadows were closing in. She could feel them, a mass of black swirling just beyond her line of sight, hungry and voracious. Panic surged through her again. Scrambling to her feet, she spotted a glimmer of metal in the grass, her car keys, barely visible but undeniably real. With trembling hands, she snatched them up, her fingers curling around the cold metal. "I just need to get to the car," she thought, her thoughts racing as fast as her pulse. She picked up speed once more, darting toward the road, just steps away from salvation. The gravel crunched beneath her shoes, but the moment she stepped onto the pavement, a deep rumble echoed through the air, chilling her blood. The shadows jerked, swirling into tight knots as if adjusting their focus on her. "Do you really think you can run?" The mocking laughter reverberated around her, thick and sticky, painting her with dread. Ignoring it, she kept pushing her legs, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she neared her rusty old sedan. She fumbled for the door handle, fingers clumsy with fear. As she yanked it open, she felt her heart seize. What if it wouldn't start? "Please, please," she begged the car, instinctively holding her breath as she slid into the driver's seat. The shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, a menacing tide, threatening to swallow her whole. She shoved the keys into the ignition and twisted. The engine roared to life, filling her with a surge of hope. She slammed the gear into reverse and hurled the car backward, tires screeching against the gravel. But the shadows rushed after her, clawing at the bumper, eager to drag her back into the depths of despair. "Get away from me!" she shrieked, her eyes wide with fear. They danced across her rearview mirror, their grotesque shapes shifting with malicious intent. She had only one thought: she needed to escape. As she slammed the gear into drive, launching herself toward the road, a figure loomed in the distance. A woman stood dressed in white, her hair tangled and wild, blocking the way. Lisa's heart slammed in her chest. "Stop!" the woman shouted, stretched arm halting her advance. Lisa hesitated, shock stilling her trembling body. "Not yet, you can't go until you know the truth. We are all connected," the woman called, her voice echoing oddly, blending with the whispers. Shadows crawled around her feet, intertwining with the ground, grounding her to the spot. Confusion swirled in Lisa's mind. What do you mean connected? Panic twisted her gut as she recalled the battles she fought within the cabin. It was all too insidious to comprehend. Only by facing the past can we protect the present, the woman urged, her eyes passionate yet haunting. It's not just you. We are all trapped in this cycle. Join us. Lisa's breath quickened. Was this a rescue or a lure? The reality of it enveloped her. Each answer could lead her deeper into darkness. Could she trust this stranger? In that moment, Lisa felt it again, the oppressive weight of the shadows. They surged toward her, and the decision was cruelly clear. She looked back at the woman, desperation clawing at her heart. Will the truth save me or consume me? Lisa whispered, torn between flight and the unshakable pull of the unknown. And just as she was about to make her choice, the shadows lunged forward, closing in for a final embrace. What awaited her in that haunting embrace? The world spun as shadows erupted, desperate and malevolent, a desperate swirl of darkness that sought to suffocate her. Lisa's instincts kicked in. She couldn't let them take her. The woman in white would not let her escape so easily, nor would the shadows, constantly clawing at the edges of reason. Help me! She screamed through the chaos, but the woman merely stood in stoic silence, her gaze unwavering, eyes burning with a strange intensity. The shadows were insatiable, curling around her limbs like vines, filling her mouth with whispers of despair. Surrender, they urged as fingers of darkness brushed against her skin, cold as ice, igniting fire in her chest. Lisa pushed against the weight, fighting for every breath as the car's engine roared in the background, a deafening reminder of her only hope. She could still make it if she could just shove the door shut and drive away. But the woman stepped closer, her presence looming larger than life. Face your fears, Lisa. It's the only way. The voice dripped with urgency and sincerity, almost inviting. Was this a chance for salvation or a trap? A flicker of danger flashed in Lisa's mind. What fears? I'm terrified. She shouted, her heart racing like a trapped animal. But before the woman in white could respond, a shadow grabbed at her ankle, pulling her down. No. She gasped, her mind racing. She kicked and struggled against the binding darkness. Every muscle screamed, but her resolve hardened. The truth was hidden here, somewhere deep within the shadows, behind the woman's haunting gaze. Feel it. Embrace it. The woman shouted, her voice now ringing like a bell in Lisa's mind, clear and piercing. With desperation and ferocity, Lisa gritted her teeth and yanked her foot free. The moment she did, an image flashed before her eyes, a memory, long buried under layers of fog. She saw herself as a child, standing in an old house, her house hiding under the bed. The echoes of laughter, the thud of boots above her, her father's angry voice, her mother's tears. It's all connected. The pieces began to fit, a chilling puzzle that spoke of hidden truths and unresolved demons. Stop running. The woman commanded, and suddenly the shadows paused, as if the world was holding its breath. Lisa hesitated, her heart hammering in her chest. Should she dive deeper into the darkness? Was this the path to freedom, or was it the final descent into madness? What if I face it and it destroys me? She whispered, unsure, vulnerable. Then fight, the woman replied, the shadows retreating slightly at her command. You are more powerful than the pain of the past. With renewed determination, Lisa sprinted toward the woman, hands clenched into fists. The shadows were swirling again, though, and panic surged through her. She was terrified of everything, to confront her history, the truths it held, and looming over it all, the certainty that shadows would never release their grip willingly. Just as she reached the woman, coldness enveloped her, a chilling whisper in her ear, everything you fear is waiting for you in the dark. The word sent chills down her spine, but Lisa could feel a crack in the shadows. Their grasp was weakening, and something deep within her stirred. She had to know. With one deep, shuddering breath, she closed her eyes and stepped forward, willing to plunge into the horrifying truth, whatever it might hold. And as she did, the world around her twisted and turned, a vortex of memories threatening to consume her whole. What awaited her in that suffocating darkness? Would the truth finally free her, or would she become yet another phantom lost to the shadows? In that suspended moment, everything hung in the balance, and she felt the dreadful anticipation grasping at her throat. Darkness descended like a shroud as Lisa moved forward, the world dissolving around her. A sinking sensation twisted her stomach, and the weight of her past crashed over her like a tidal wave. Memories burst forth, twisted laughter, shadows dancing on the walls, the sharpness of betrayal mingling with warmth from the sun filtering through her childhood home. Then came the scream, a sound so familiar yet foreign, echoing from the depths of her mind. It was her mother, crying, shattered, echoing her terror. Lisa fell to her knees, the cold floor of memories biting into her skin. She was a child again, lost in a maze of grief, yearning for safety. No! She shouted, but the memories pulled her deeper. She was trapped, just like then. Embrace it, Lisa. The woman in white cried, her voice cutting through the haze of despair. You have to see. See what? Lisa gasped, clenching her fists. More pain. A low rumble responded, a growl of shadows that surged around her, dark tendrils coiling tighter as it dragged her into its web. Panic spiked, her heart pounding like a war drum. She remembered the night her father's anger ignited, the firestorm of chaos that shattered their family, sending her spiraling into loneliness. What happened? She screamed, imploring, trying to force clarity into the storm. What did I miss? Suddenly, vision blurred, the scene shifting. She was in her old house, the oppressive air thick with sorrow. She stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking up. The voices rose, muffled but distinct, arguments laced with desperation, the crack of something breaking, and then silence. Silence that swallowed the world whole. Lisa surged forward, desperate for answers, pressing her hands against the banister. Tell me. She cried, her voice cracking against the past. The shadows recoiled, and the woman in white stepped closer, eyes piercing into Lisa's soul. You can't hide from it. It won't let you go until you confront it. Fingers of darkness crept back, whispering of fear and foreboding. You don't want to see, they hissed, the chill creeping up her spine. You don't want to know. With a surge of courage, Lisa screamed, I need the truth. It was like a spark igniting in the dark. The shadows thrashed violently, then froze, as if caught off guard by her defiance. Remember. The woman urged, pushing against the swirling chaos. The truth lies beneath the fear. Suddenly, a flash of vision erupted. A moment buried alive, a young girl, wide-eyed with surprise, witnessing her father's rage twist into an unrecognizable shape. She could see the shadows stretching, manipulating him. The echoes of hurt clawed at Lisa's throat. She gasped, swept now into the pivotal scene, feeling each punch of fear, heartache, and betrayal. In an explosive rush, clarity washed over her. It wasn't just about confronting her past, it was tearing apart the veil that had hidden the truth of her father's suffering. His own demons had consumed him. Were they shadows like the ones that chained her? The revelation hit hard. She wasn't just scared of her family's ruin, she was terrified of understanding. If she faced them, would it change anything? Or would it tear her apart, naked and vulnerable, exposing all she'd ever shoved aside? Yes, the woman shouted, her voice rising above the tumult, echoing in Lisa's mind. You can transform the pain. Be the light. But at that moment, doubt clawed at Lisa. Would she emerge unscathed, or would the shadows finally claim her? The whirlpool of memories and fears spun dangerously close, beckoning her to surrender. As the cold embraced her tighter, Lisa made a choice. Fueled by sheer will, she reached out, diving headfirst into the churning chaos, the heart of darkness that had haunted her for so long. What awaited her on the other side? Would she finally grasp her truth, or would she indeed be lost forever in the haunting abyss of regret? Lisa plunged into the darkness, surrendering herself to the chaos swirling around her. Time warped as she felt a pull, as if the shadows had a mind of their own, dragging her into an abyss where nothing felt real or safe. The scream from earlier resonated in her ears, a cacophony that shattered her focus. Glimmers of her youth darted before her like fireflies, illuminating fleeting memories that collided with her present fears. She stumbled, disoriented and gasping for breath, but she pressed on, determined to unleash the truth buried beneath layers of grief. "Keep going," urged the woman in white, who now seemed more a guardian than a tormentor. "You're closer than you realize." With a heart pounding like a battle drum, Lisa moved through a dark corridor that stretched infinitely in every direction. Shadows flickered at the edges, whispering her name like a siren song, pulling her deeper into the void. Familiar faces flashed in and out her mother's haunted eyes, her father's clenched fists, each an echo of despair that stabbed into her consciousness with a cold steel blade. Suddenly, she tripped over something soft and fallen, a life once vibrant, now trapped beneath the weight of sorrow. As she turned, a darkness surged upward, materializing before her into her childhood home. It was a hollow shell, already crumbling under the burden of forgotten memories, yet, somehow, it felt alive. "You must face them," the woman in white insisted, gesturing at the door. "They want to tell you their side." But could she bear to hear it? Each breath felt like a struggle against a thick fog of despair as she felt the weight of the past pressed down upon her chest. She stepped towards the door, hesitating as a lump formed in her throat. The creaking would beckon her, and finally, she twisted the knob and pushed through. Inside, the room was as she remembered. Sunlight filtered through the curtains, illuminating dust motes that danced in the air. The familiar scent of her mother's perfume lingered, painfully evocative. Voices echoed, muffled yet distinct, blending into a symphony of chaos and regret. "Why didn't you save us?" A young voice cried, perhaps her own, pleading for answers. "Because there was nothing left to save," an adult voice whispered back, trembling with sorrow. It was her mother, a specter of pain and love woven into one. "We were all too broken." Tears streamed down Lisa's cheeks as she took a tentative step closer. "I don't understand," she choked out. "What happened? Why did you leave?" The room shifted again, memories swirling, and suddenly, she was back at the foot of the stairs. She could see herself, a child lost in the depth of anguish. The corridor echoed with her father's anger, echoes of slamming doors, shouts, and at the center, a haunting silence that begged to be shattered. "You have to confront the truth," the woman urged, stepping through the wall of grief surrounding Lisa, her presence a guiding light. But as Lisa approached the stairwell, she felt a shadow slide past her, a chilling reminder of the nightmares long suppressed. Dark hands reached out, clutching at her, pulling her away from the illumination of the hallway. "Stay away!" she shouted, her voice fierce, her will defiant. The shadows howled in protest, their grip tightening, wrapping around her limbs like coils of barbed wire. Lisa felt her resolve quivering, threatening to collapse under the relentless assault of pain. "Fight!" the woman cried from the edge of the shadows, her voice an anchor to Lisa's spirit. With every ounce of strength, Lisa released her hold on the past, pushing against the dark, crying out, "I will not be consumed. I will not allow you to win." And in that raw moment of defiance, the shadows burst away, retreating into the dark corners of the room, revealing a truer reality. As light flooded the staircase, Lisa stood at the threshold of understanding. Her heart raced, awakening to a deeper acknowledgement of her own pain. The scars her father had left wound tightly around her, intertwining with the love she had for her mother. But suddenly, the warmth of light began to flicker, the walls around her threatening to close back in. Just as she had forged a path to the truth, was it all slipping away again? With her heartbeat echoing louder than the shadows, she asked, trembling, "What do I need to face next? What lies ahead?" The woman in white stepped closer, her expression serious yet calm. "You must confront the fear that has haunted you since that night. Only then can you truly heal." Before she could respond, the ground shook beneath her, and as she struggled to catch her balance, a door materialized before her, marked with heavy chains. It throbbed ominously, as if alive, its presence indelible and undeniable. "What's behind it?" Lisa asked, confusion swirling inside her. The answer hovered in the air, thick as smoke. As the chains began to rattle and groan, the door creaked open with a dreadful sound, revealing a void deeper than darkness. What lay beyond terrified her more than the shadows she had just escaped, and she couldn't turn back now. Would she gather the strength to step through, or would she be ensnared by the very fears she sought to conquer? The answer awaited her in the depths of the unknown, just a heartbeat away. The door swung wide, its creaking echoing like a warning bell in the still air. Lisa peered into the abyss. A thick darkness loomed there, pulsating with a life of its own. A shiver crawled up her spine, a visceral reaction that nearly demanded she turn back, but her feet felt glued to the ground. "Step through," the woman in white urged, her voice steady yet insistent. "You must confront what lies within." Taking a breath that felt like swallowing fire, Lisa stepped into the void. The sensation of entering was disorienting. One moment she was solidly in her childhood home, and the next, she was engulfed in a swirling mist that tasted bitter against her senses. Then she felt a sharp stab of cold dread crawling through her veins. Moments passed, or maybe it was seconds. Time stretched thin. The air thickened. Shapes emerged, flickering like old film clips, revealing fragmented scenes. Lisa saw her parents arguing in hushed tones, faces contorted with rage and sorrow. Then came flashes of her younger self, a small girl attempting to drown out the screams with her hands pressed to her ears. The sight, like shrapnel, tore through her, intensifying the déjà vu of pain. "Why are you doing this?" she cried, her voice trembling amidst the chaos. "Why am I here?" "Because your fear must be confronted," the woman in white replied, moving through the shadows, her face a knowing mask. "Fear thrives in darkness." Suddenly, the scenery shifted again. She stood in her schoolyard, surrounded by taunting whispers from faceless peers. "You're not enough. No one cares." Each word cut like a knife, piercing through her defenses. She gripped herself tighter, uncertainty trickling into her heart. "Enough!" she shouted, clenching her fists. "Enough of this!" A laugh echoed around her, haunting and cruel. "What makes you think you can escape?" it mocked. Fire ignited within Lisa. "I can and I will. I am not defined by your lies." The laughter faded momentarily, as if it had met a wall. That's when she saw it growing dimly within the swirling mist, a figure wrapped in shadows. Its face was hidden beneath a cloak of darkness, but she could feel its gaze piercing into her. "Your truth lies within me," it rasped, and the voice resonated like a long-lost memory, chilling her to the bone. It was familiar, too familiar. "Show yourself," she demanded, advancing towards the figure, thumb pressed to her palm for strength. The dread rolled over her like waves, but the weight of it ignited a fierce determination. With a flick of its hand, the figure pulled back the curtain of shadows. The light revealed a twisted version of her past, the pain, the denial, the suffocating guilt. Images of her mother's sorrow unnaturally intertwined with her father's anger exploded around her in bursts of color, evolving into a symphony of chaos. "Is this all you have?" she shouted. "You think I can't handle this?" Slowly, the figure began to dissolve into the air, fading like a wisp of smoke. "You have only scratched the surface, Lisa. What you fear lurks deeper still." And just like that, the shadows crept back, morphing her surroundings once more. Familiar scents invaded her, the smell of old wood and stale tears. She found herself back at her childhood home, but it was different now, a grotesque reflection of her nightmares. The walls pulsed, and whispers sunk into her ears like poison. "Remember who you are. Remember your power. You may escape the surface, but you'll need to find the root." The woman in white called, vanishing amidst it all. Lisa's breath quickened. "What root? What do you mean?" But the room echoed with an eerie silence. The shadows danced around her, closing in like a predator stalking its prey. She spun around, heart racing, battling against the tide of despair threatening to consume her. What vital truth lay buried so deep? What could be worse than this eternal darkness? A flicker of something caught her eye out of the corner of her vision, a faint glimmer broke through the shadows. It shimmered like hope, a single thread of light fighting against the oppressive gloom. Follow it. She urged herself, desperation igniting a spark. As she lunged toward the light, the shadows shrieked, a dreadful wail that sent tremors through her bones. Would the light lead her to freedom or deeper into torment? One thing was certain, she was no longer just a frightened girl, but a warrior ready to face the darkness head-on. What awaited her beyond the shadows? Would she find the truth, or would it unleash something even darker? Lisa's heart raced like a runaway train as she lunged toward the flickering light. The shadows writhed around her, shrieking, clamoring to pull her back into the depths of despair. Not today. She cried, digging deep for strength she hadn't known was there. The glimmer of hope guided her, shimmering with a clarity that felt intoxicating. With every step, the darkness hissed and retreated, reluctant to let go of its prey. She broke through the threshold where the light pooled, and suddenly she was enveloped in warmth, a stark contrast to the icy grip of the shadows. The fear that had clung to her like a second skin began to peel away, revealing the woman in white, now glowing with an ethereal luminescence. "You found your way," the woman said, her voice melodic like a gentle breeze. "This is the heart of your truth." Before them stood a vast expanse of memories, swirling like a kaleidoscope in hues of blue and gold. Each image flickered with life, pulsating like a heartbeat. Lisa gazed in awe, recognizing shards of her own history, moments trapped in time. "My parents, my childhood," she murmured, taken aback. "Yes, you must embrace it all, every piece," the woman encouraged. "The past doesn't define you, but understanding it will release you from its grip." With deep breaths, Lisa stepped closer to the swirling tableau. She saw her father, filled with rage, yet behind it was a flicker of anguish, a boy lost beneath the weight of expectations. He was hurting, she whispered, realization dawning like the sun breaking through clouds. "Yes." The woman smiled, urging her on. "And your mother, burdened with sorrow. They were trapped by their pasts, just as you were." As the scenes continued, Lisa's heart ached. Every argument, each moment of despair, and the screams that filled her childhood home began to blur and mingle into a single thread of understanding. "Is this what I need to see?" she questioned, her voice trembling. "More than you can imagine," the woman replied. "You are their bridge. Face it and embrace the power that lies within you, a power that comes from understanding, compassion, and forgiveness." The light brightened as each memory enveloped her. Lisa didn't shy away from the hurt any longer. She stepped into the grief, the anger, and the love that had been lost amidst the chaos. "I see you," she said softly, reaching out to the figures in her memories. "I understand you." A wave of warmth flooded through her, and with it came clarity. The heaviness she had carried for so long lifted, replaced by an unquenchable strength. "I am not my father's rage," she declared, the echoes resonating like thunder, shaking the foundation of the shadows that had once held her captive. "I am not my mother's tears. I am both and more." The shadows howled, fading in terror as the light shattered their hold. The once ominous darkness began to melt away, revealing beauty wrapped in compassion and understanding. Each piece of herself, every fragment of her past, swirled together, forming a mosaic of resilience. Lisa felt a hum in her chest, a connection to every soul she had encountered, the tormented shadows and the woman, the spirits trapped within. "Thank you for guiding me," she whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Now I can release you too." As her words hung in the air, the shadows swirled one last time, dissipating like mist in the morning sun. Only the woman in white remained, tears shimmering in her eyes. "You've done it, Lisa. You freed not just yourself, but many souls trapped with you," she said, her voice a soothing balm. "Now go. Live boldly." With the last of the shadows vanquished, Lisa turned, stepping back toward the light, a fierce hope igniting within her heart. "I will," she vowed, breathing in deeply, welcoming the fresh air of freedom. The path ahead sparkled with possibilities, unburdened by the weight of her past. With every step, freedom whispered sweetly along the breeze, guiding her toward a life she would shape through love, courage, and truth. As Lisa exited the cabin, the sun broke through the looming trees, painting the landscape with shades of warmth that felt like a new beginning. She was no longer haunted, she was liberated. "Remember," the woman's voice echoed in the wind. "You are the architect of your future." With a final glance at the cabin, now just a memory, Lisa's heart swelled with strength. She was ready to embrace whatever came next. This was her life, and it was time to live it fully. Remember, everyone. If you enjoyed this story, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for more thrilling adventures. Smash the like button now to help feed the algorithm. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories on Lisa's journey. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Each action helps create the stories we all love.